Hey guys, on today's video we are going to showcase this beautiful air rifle here and talk about how this rifle helped me win the Rocky Mountain Airgun Challenge Precision Marksman's course last June. So this started its life, it's the base rifle as an FX Impact M3, which is FX Airguns' latest rendition of the Impact lineup. Offers things like dual regulators, bigger power plenum, upgraded block, and valving system. And that's a great place to start. And one of the very good things about this rifle system is it's very modular. And if you know these rifles at all, you will recognize that this is not much of its original FX design still left on it. We're still running the main action and the power plenum and barrel and such, but other than that, we've made a lot of changes. And I want to go through today and discuss those changes and kind of give you an idea of why I made those changes and how I feel that they benefited me and helped me take this rifle to win not only the Rocky Mountain Airgun Challenge, but several other podium finishes as well. So again, beautiful rifle, FX Impact M3. The biggest challenge that the Impact has for tactical style precision rifle is its balance point. Right from the factory, they're very heavy in the back. They don't have a lot of place to stretch out the bipod. You can see I have the bipod way out front. And a longer platform from my front and rear support helps with stability. So we made a lot of changes to it. But most of those changes are driven towards balancing the rifle. So when I run a precision course, I want to be able to set my rifle on the barricade and have it sit there with as little movement and input from myself, the shooter, as possible. And that allows me to minimize my wobble zone and hopefully hit what I'm aiming at. So I generally want my rifle to balance at about this location here. And with the factory Impact, it was clear back here under the trigger and you couldn't really get your hand around the grip and so forth. So the vast majority of these changes have been to help facilitate that. And you can see here, the rifle balances very well. I have ample space in front of my grip that I can manipulate the trigger. And I want the rifle to sit just like this, on a barricade, on a prop, and what have you. And so a lot of the changes we made start right there at the bottom. So this here is the Marksman Anvil ARCA Rail. And it gives me a lot of stuff. It gives me a wide platform on the bottom that I can run on the bag. It gives me ARCA Rail all the way back here, so I can actually run this bipod. And I can position this bipod anywhere I need it to be. Again, generally I want it out as far forward as I can, but perhaps I'm running it on a bucket or a barrel and I really need a shorter distance between my bipod and the back where I'm going to use my rear support, and it gives me a ton of flexibility. It's very sturdy and it adds a significant amount of weight to the front of the rifle, and that's what the rifle needs to help balance that out. Now I'm also running 2 sets of these Brass Air Marksman weights. And these are actually made for M-LOK. You can screw them onto anything that you have that has M-LOK. On the particular Anvil ARCA Rail, they're a direct thread. And if you order them, they'll send you the screws you need for whatever. So that is kind of the key fundamental point. And most other things I could probably do without. But adding that ARCA Rail and the Anvil, all of that weight out front, is the biggest upgrade that helps me balance the rifle. Moving directly up from there, we have the 700cc Air Marksman Tank. So This configuration, this is a 700 millimeter Impact M3, and it came with the 580 bottle, which is a great bottle, a great configuration. Upgrading to the 700cc from Air Marksman, it gives me obviously more capacity. I have a higher shot count, and it also facilitates pushing a little more weight out front. Now, these are carbon fiber bottles. It doesn't add much weight, but it does help push the balance point slightly forward. The extra capacity, the extra air capacity, really boosts my shot count. This is a slug gun. I don't particularly run heavy slugs, but it allows you the opportunity to run heavy slugs pushed hard, and you have a big reserve of air for that those high round count stages. Now, I'm not going to run out of air on any given stage in pretty much any imaginable configuration that I could set this gun up for. But it gives me a little flexibility and freedom. Say in between stages I get distracted and my normal post stage practice falls short and I forget to air up. I have that confidence that I know I can just grab my rifle and I can go on and shoot another stage and another stage. And in all reality, I could probably almost shoot an entire, at least an entire NRL match without really having to fill up my air. So adding that gives me a lot of peace of mind that I have plenty of air. It's going to be on demand whenever I need it. Coming up, we're going to jump the barrel here, and obviously you guys can see this has been Cerakoted. If you've been paying attention, I must have too much vanity because I like all of my weapon systems custom and to look unique and be their own. And this one was no different. The Cerakote was done by a local guy here. But with most of my rifles, I try to spread the love and test out new Cerakoters everywhere. So if you have a favorite Cerakoter that does amazing work, maybe throw a picture on and comment below and tell me who you think I should at least talk to. So jumping over the barrel, up top, this here is the backbone, again from Air Marksman. You guys are probably catching a theme there. The backbone top rail. I don't think it's a necessity. Maybe for some shooters. For a shooter like me, it's an absolute necessity. I come from the precision rifle world, the centerfire world, and things are very rigid and very heavy, and I tend to have a big heavy cheek weld on all of my rifle systems. And in the factory configuration back here, the stock M3 rail sits on top of a aluminum channel that runs and supports the back butt stock. It picks up the block and then across the top of the action, and it's a relatively thin, I don't know, maybe 1/4 of an inch, a piece of aluminum. And I tended to notice that my rifle was very hold sensitive. If I was getting into it and a little heavy on the cheek, I would get some flex and I could get a shift in my point of impact. And for precision style shooting that I do, we're forced into various different positions on all kinds of different barricades. And I can't, I can't have the risk or fear that how I position my cheek on that is going to affect my point of impact. So the biggest thing for me, and it's been switched out on almost every impact I have, is to change this Air Marksman backbone rail. And if you can see it here, it's severely thicker. So you actually take off the original spine of the impact, and this replaces it, as well as the rail that your scope mounts to. But it comes all the way from the front of the action, and it's screwed in there and back to the block, and it's significantly thicker. That's well over 1/2 inch, might be pushing 5/8 of an inch thick aluminum. And so there's no flex. When I get down on it and I got a really heavy cheek, I'm absolutely not gonna flex that system at all. And with a bullpup design where the barrel is connecting through multiple points, that's very, very, very important to me. So the other thing that I really like about it is it has 30 MOA built-in cant. The stock impact, I think, comes with 20 MOA cant. And that cant that's built in is a big benefit when I try and push these things to the distance. So if you're shooting your air gun, you know, inside of 100 yards, it's not a big deal. Most scopes, even small, older scopes with small tubes and minimal travel are going to get you plenty of elevation to shoot it. But I'm pushing this gun out 200 yards, 300 yards, 400 yards, and I need all of the travel in my scope that I can possibly get. And so adding that extra cant into the system prior to sighting in my scope and zeroing my scope takes more advantage of the available travel in the scope. So the Air Marksman backbone rail, and if you don't like the look here, there's other configurations. This is the long one. They have I think they have a medium and a short. So you could use this on your compact, your M3 compact, or if you just particularly don't like the look of that being longer or shorter. In this configuration, you have the pick rail all the way out here, and you could mount, you know, some kind of forward optic, infrared or night vision or whatever, floats your boat in that way. They have designed these slots in this, these cylinders coming through this for future additional things. So stay tuned to what Air Marksman can come up with next. It's a really great brand, a local brand here, and they're very innovative, and they're making things for the shooters to solve problems, and I love that innovation. So a little extra hybrid thing here. I actually have this spigot mount is from MPA. In all of my centerfire and rimfire guns, I run MPA chassis, and I absolutely love those. And I just added that for, again, this is the steel version. They make an aluminum and a steel version, and so I want a little extra weight and a little extra length. If I really need to stretch out, maybe say I'm running across the tire and I just need a little extra span, I can mount my bipod clear out there and pick up a couple extra inches. And this is reversible. You can run a pick rail or ARCA. Everything I run is ARCA, so not a big deal there. Coming back to the back, here we have the Crawford buttstock. And I've tried several buttstocks. The big draw that I have to this one is really the bag rider. I use a rear support, a rear bag on any time I'm shooting off of a prop where I can utilize my bipod and the back. So say a big spool or proned out or across a tabletop or any configuration there, and I want to use a bag rider to manipulate, the elevation of my rifle. So having this bag rider is a very big plus in my mind. And Steve and I met him at R.M.A.C, I think a couple years ago, and he showed me this, and I thought, wow, what a great design. Now I have modified the back because I want my buttstock to ride a little bit higher, and I also have long monkey arms, and so I need a little more length of pull. So just a slight modification there, and it just allowed me to elevate the actual butt pad. It is adjustable front and back. You can extend it out to suit your length of pull needs as well. But it's just one of those things that I love about this airgun industry is there's so many amazing companies that are just solving problems. They're coming up with solutions left and right to give you a better shooting experience and to make your system work better for the style of shooting that you do. And of course, that style of shooting I do is specifically precision rifle. So that moves us on to our grip. I again come from PRS and rimfire, and we're running vertical grips in almost everything that I run, mostly Masterpiece Arms chassis. This is an AR style grip that is from Saber Tactical. This one's actually not available. This was one of their prototyping where it's skeletonized, but I have their same shape grip, but just with a different texturing for the actual grip. And I have that on my Pantera and a couple other weapon systems. So anything that takes an AR style grip, they have a solution for, and I absolutely love it. Now, grips are subjective because it depends on your hand shape and how it fits, but this grip absolutely fits my hand beautifully, and it comes with a built-in thumb shelf here. You can actually put them on either side. I run one on both, which I believe you can get those, you can buy the thumb shelf separately so that you can add them. And I've just added it to both sides for those occasions when I shoot support side and I need to run my left hand. But that's my typical grip, and having that thumb shelf right there gives me a constant placement and a repeatable spot to keep my hand each time I pick up the rifle. And all of those things lead to more consistent shots and hopefully more impacts downrange. So moving all the way up to the top, we have my zero compromise scope, and I have several of these scopes, and they are pretty nice. I am kind of looking at other options too, but there's no question these are amazing scopes. Again, I have several of them. It is actually sitting in a F3R machine one-piece mount. And I've gone with these for a couple of different reasons. One, a great guy, a great company. He's a small company, and he supports the local community. Two, they're very affordable compared to other, solid one-piece mounts. And it has built-in cant as well. And so this scope mount specifically has 20 MOA built into it. So between the scope mount itself and the rail, that's 50 MOA. I'm actually canting my my scope prior to zeroing it. And in this discipline where I'm shooting very long range with very terrible trajectory of these slugs and pellets, I want to utilize that. On my bench gun, for say, I would probably go with their 0 MOA mount because I don't need all that distance, and I'd prefer my scope to be zeroed in the optical center of the scope just to get the best clarity and visibility through the scope. But a solid mount nonetheless, and a solid scope to boot that. Turning this rifle around so that you can kind of see a couple of the other things. So this little flap of material actually has Velcro, and it's just a little bungee that's going around the tube of my scope. And that is just designed to hold my data card. It's just a little hook and loop, and I have a little dry erase that I write down the dope for each stage, and I stick to that, and I'm pretty sure I've gone through that in other videos that you can check out. Maybe we'll do one in detail. This is a Coltac product. I believe they call it the cheat sheet, and they're relatively inexpensive, and it's an absolute necessity for every single rifle I have. Every competition rifle, it just gives me something. It's easy. It flips out of the way if I bump it into something. I used to run a hard mount, and I just I felt like it was more in the way, and when I would bump it into things, it wasn't as forgiving. So I really like this mount. And Coltac, Dustin down at Coltac is a hell of a guy. He's, again, constantly supporting this industry and this sport. So check them out if you need some kind of data card solutions or any other soft goods. Right down here, if you can see, this is my send it level. Now I've modified the mount so that I can mount it there because this is a very old version. But in their new modern versions, the MV3, there's all kinds of mounting solutions. But what that is an electronic level that has a digital LED readout that tells me if my rifle is canted. So left or right, and so on and so forth. That's a highly critical component for sending rounds long range. If my rifle is canted even 1 degree off of true vertical, that can translate to a miss, you know, even as close as 100 yards with the trajectory of these slugs. And it's compounded the further you get out there. And so having my level, my rifle system level when I send a round is a critical component. Now this one's slightly different. If you see it in its regular configuration, right here on the back of it are LED lights, and they tell you which direction to cant your rifle based off of a couple of programming things. So in my particular case, it's not. I have these fiber optics, and it actually carries that. Let's see if you can turn it on and you can see it. So it carries it around, and it puts this right at the back of my ocular lens. So literally, as I am looking through the scope, I have these lights telling me if my rifle's level. And green means go. So if it's a red light, I need to twist it to the right. If it's a blue light, excuse me, I need to twist it to the left. That system is designed by another local guy. If you're catching a theme, support your local companies. And if you don't have amazing local companies like I'm fortunate to have here in Utah, then support these guys, because they're amazing guys and they're constantly supporting the sport. So this little ocular housing, it's a different housing for the send it level, and then the fiber optics and this little ocular support that holds the fiber optics on your ocular lens is by Brant built. Devin is a great guy. He's a great shooter. If you ever get the chance to shoot with him, you can learn a lot from him. So check out Brant built and see if they have a solution for yours. And some of you guys are shooting night forces, so that you might have a question because your entire ocular rotates when you are zooming. He has a solution for that as well. So in this particular case, I just have a zoom ring that's forward of the actual ocular, and so I didn't need that system, but he does have that system in play. Lastly, but definitely not least, we have, of course, a Donnie FL out front. So Donnie makes amazing products, and probably one of the nicest guys you could ever meet at a match. He's willing to help out anybody he can, and he makes great products. I don't own a air rifle without a Donnie FL on front in some configuration or not. I believe this is the Sumo, but I have several different ones, and he makes one for whatever your needs are. He makes small ones, big ones, in between ones. So I absolutely love those because silence is a priority. So check out Donnie FL for your sound suppression needs, and I'm sure he could help you out. Beyond that, guys, I think the biggest thing that you could do to make the most of your rifle system is to literally just get out and send rounds downrange. I've sent a lot of rounds over the past several years, and that's been the biggest impact on my shooting ability, is to get out there and practice. So if you're here local in Utah, we shoot several local clubs, NRL clubs. We have Big Salty and we have Hobble Creek. You can find those clubs on Facebook and Instagram and such. So come out and shoot with us, and we're willing to help out. We'll lend you our gear. We'll share our information. Anything that we can do to help you guys come out and succeed, we want to do that. If you're not in Utah, check out NRL22.org and or the new PRS Rimfire series. Thank you very much to Ken Wheeler, and a couple of guys there, the Rimfire directors, Matt Steiner and Greg Stewart, good friends of mine. They have actually introduced air guns in that division, or an airgun division, sorry, for the PRS rimfire. So check out your local clubs, come out and support the sport, and just have fun shooting targets and a good time. So thank you guys for watching. This has been my R.M.A.C Winning FX Impact M3, proudly sponsored by Utah Airguns, the absolute amazing name in the industry. Justin and Austin would bend over backwards for anyone that I've ever met. So thank you guys to Utah Airguns. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope I see you out on the range.